What if the easiest and most direct way to stop suffering, or at least reduce the pain in your life, the pain from your mind, or maybe some distraction from a physical issue, what if it just came down to a simple memory exercise? Well, it does. And it is a memory exercise that you could combine with an ancient practice that has to do with just thinking about cool people. Wouldn't that be amazing? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to bring together the memory wheel, which is pretty much a medieval and Renaissance era memory technique, with the loving compassion meditation, which, is really cool. I wish I would have gotten into it sooner. I had a lot of resistance around it, but once I started to get into it, it has really helped me. And I used a memory wheel not only to give more memory practice to the practice of loving compassion meditation, or metta as it's sometimes called, but also to help give it some structure so that it wasn't so willy-nilly and it didn't peter out as quickly as it would without the memory wheel. So if you like this kind of training and you're new here, get subscribed, hit that thumbs up. For the love of memory, help robots remember that we humans still care about these techniques that we can do without the assistance of technology. Not that they're not technology. The alphabet is a kind of technology. It's amazing. So I'm not like anti-tech necessarily, but we also can't always rely on having our machines. We can't even rely on being able to remember to use the machines if we don't train our memory, right? This is what's going on with all this artificial intelligence. People email me all the time. They say, Anthony, could you help me improve the prompts that I'm using to be able to train my memory better with the help of ChatGPT or whatever? And it's like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but wouldn't it be better to be able to prompt yourself better? So that you don't have to spend even a second of time going to pick up a machine and type into it. You can just use your mind. Well, that's what a memory wheel is all about. So let's get into this. Memory wheel, just to describe it a little bit more, is literally like a mental wheel. And you would imagine that at the 12 o'clock position, you have the letter A. And then somewhere between 12 and 1, you would have B. And then at 1, you would have C. And at just after between 1 and 2, you'd have D and so forth. And you go all the way around in a circle, and you wind up with Z at 11:59 p.m. or Z if you prefer. And at the end of the day, what you wind up with is an alphabet distributed in a circle. So that's what a memory wheel is. Now, there's many more complicated memory wheel formations that can involve punctuation, and it can involve hansa, or it can involve hiragana, katakana, all these kinds of different symbols. I've seen them, and they're amazing for language learning purposes and so forth. But just for this simple metta or loving kindness meditation, I would suggest just starting with the English alphabet. And Aya Kema, she says that one of the things that you want to do in order to just feel better in life is to keep a kind of accounting record of how you feel towards other people. And so every night you should send love and care and kindness to all the people that you love and care about. But go one step further. As you keep this little list of all the people that you've sent kind, warm, loving thoughts to, think about all the people that you don't feel so kind and loving towards. And then make sure you spend some time sending them good vibes as well. Now, why would you want to spend time thinking about people that you don't have good vibes for? Well, part of it is just to take the toxicity out of the bad vibes, because it's on you and it's in you. It's your head. Why wouldn't you want to detoxify it? Is it going to work? Well, you don't know unless that you give it a try. And I would suggest that you give it a try for a good long while. And that's part of what the memory wheel helps you do in order to detoxify. If you were to start with the letter A, I would think of one of my friends, Adam, and just send him good vibes. Then after feel like I've spent enough time on there, I would go to B and think about a friend from high school named Brad, and then go to C and just keep going. Now, some people are obviously going to have the objection. Well, what if I don't know somebody whose name starts with X? I happen to have a friend whose middle name is Xavier, so that's cool. But I would think creatively, and I would say, well, I don't know Patrick Stewart, who played Professor X in the X-Men, but I'm going to send him some good vibes anyway, because he's an ersatz friend. I mean, I've seen him in so many movies. He was Captain Picard, for heaven's sakes. I mean, why wouldn't you want to send him good vibes, right? And then you could think of maybe a bad situation. I can think of watching Star Trek when some bad things were going on in my family and go, I'm going to send good vibes to that person. I'm going to send good vibes to that bad memory itself and help detoxify it. So as you just go through this discipline, finding something for every letter, you're going to bump across unhappy memories, and you're going to have an opportunity to work on detoxing them. Now, from a memory science perspective, I don't know that this is true, but I have a hypothesis that if, as we seem to think, our memories are chemically encoded, like literally in a combination of physical material and fluid electrons, positive and negative charges, we're storing bad energy in our memory. And if we can think about that stuff in positive ways, we could neutralize the negative charge. We may not be able to make a positive charge, but we could at least neutralize it. Isn't that so exciting? I think it's one of the most exciting things in the world. And one of the reasons why I think it's one of the most exciting things in the world is because a couple of years ago, I was so resistant to using a particular memory palace because it had so many bad memories around a person whose name starts with the letter L. And I would sometimes do this practice and it would just be, and I would sometimes also, because when my mind was particularly untrained, would go off for hours just having these negative thought patterns around these bad memories from the past. What I did is I finally just not only started to do my best to send these positive vibes, but I thought about that house and I turned that house into a memory palace. And then in that memory palace, I memorized a Sanskrit mantra called the Nirvana Shatakam, which using that place neutralized it. And I can even now think of some of the positive things that happened there. There weren't that many, but nonetheless, I'm able to let those come in. And that's been wonderfully freeing. And I encourage you so much to give this a try. And it's really just that. Now, do you have to use a wheel for the alphabet? No, and I don't always use a wheel. Sometimes I will just think of the memory palace from A to Z. But there's something about trying to rotate things around in the wheel that just gives your mind something to do as an alternative to either just manually without some sort of left to right structure go through the alphabet, or abstractly go through it, or however you experience the alphabet. Like another thing that you can experiment with is placing the alphabet on a calendar where you just focus on A people on day 1, just focus on B people on day 2, and try to find that balance. Making sure you're doing the accounting that Ayakema suggests and including those people that you're not settled with in order to help detoxify that energy. Because I think it really would prove to be the case if we had the budgets to run all the brain scans, that there's a negatively charged chemistry and electrical energy that's trapped in our brains. And if we can start to work with our memories in a particular way, we can neutralize that charge. That's what is suggested in a text called the Atma Bodha. It says that if you keep practicing properly, correctly, with robustness, you will be able to neutralize the things that are in the mind that are not pleasant. Anyway, we're going to be working on this in a live cohort program based on my book, The Victorious Mind, called Victorious Mind Live. If you'd like to join us, I have for you, for those who signal their interest for advanced notification, a powerful guided meditation called the Happy Memory Palace Meditation. And it's part of things that I've used on myself in it. It's just a little simpler than memorizing Sanskrit. But if you want to be able to memorize Sanskrit or any mantras in any language that would help you defang the sting of so many negative images and energies and memories that you have, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/VML for Victorious Mind Live. It will give you this Happy Memory Palace guided meditation and get you advance notice when the doors open for Victorious Mind Live. All right, so basically what you want to do is give these things a try, but give them a proper try. So if you're going to build a memory wheel, then think through the considerations, because there's many more cool, advanced, fun things that you can do with it. There's a video on this channel all about memory wheels, where they come from, different things that you can do with them. And one of the things that they will help you do is memorize mantras. If you use them to help you generate mnemonic images, which is one of the most exciting things to do. It's very distracting in terms of a positive sense of distracting. It distracts you from all of life's problems because you're totally focused on memorizing cool stuff that makes your mind a more interesting and kind and loving place to be. So go ahead and watch that training on the memory wheel next. Link will be somewhere here or down in the description below. As always, thank you. And until we have a chance to speak again, thumbs up, get subscribed if you're new here, and keep yourself magnetic.